Everyone. If you're looking to sell your home and buy a new home at the same time, and you're looking to see how you would navigate that process, stick around and I'm going to go over some of the most effective ways to do this. If you're new to my videos, welcome. My name is John Cummings. I'm with Better Homes and Gardens Casadon Realty. And my hope for this channel is just to give you some information to help you navigate the home purchasing process, the home selling process, help you with any investment properties you may have or any other real estate need you may have. In today's topic, like I mentioned, is we're going to go over how to sell your property and buy another property at the same time if you're moving. Um, so this is a question that comes up pretty regularly, and for home sellers that are looking to move, and it's especially if true if it's your first move since you purchased a home. So you bought your first home and now you're looking to either upgrade or downgrade, or even move laterally, but you need to sell your home first and buy another one at the same time. Now for this discussion, I'm going to assume that you need the proceeds from the home sale to go towards your down payment. So you need to sell that home to be able to purchase a new home. Um, Now this isn't the case all the time, but for this discussion, we'll assume that. And this is the case with most individuals that are looking to do this anyway. So the question is, how do you do this without being stuck with two mortgages, or being stuck homeless, right? But before we get into those two a few of the strategies, I definitely want to encourage you that when you're looking to do this, you want to prepare, right? So, and by prepare, I mean prepare to be both a home buyer and a home seller. So again, what do I mean by this? Well, if you haven't bought a home in a while, you're going to want to get a pre-approval, right? So that's what you're going to want to and have to do at some point, if you're going to be getting a new mortgage, is get pre-approved for one. And you might glaze over this, but I definitely would suggest not glazing over this, especially in this type of market, because speaking specifically of the Lehigh Valley, it's very difficult for home buyers right now to be competitive. So if you are struggling by a day or so to get pre-approval and you're kind of rushing around, you may miss out on a home that you would have otherwise purchased in a different type of market. But again, such a tight market right now that you definitely want to get that done. Prepare to be a home seller. You want to get your house ready to be put on the market at a moment's notice, right? Because you don't know when that home that you're going to want to purchase pops up, right? It could be a day, it could be a month, it could be 4 months out in the future. But at the same time, you want to be ready to put your home on the market, especially when time is kind of the essence in this type of scenario. But, once you're pre-approved and your house is ready to go, and you're working with a good realtor, and they're guys are ready to go, here's a couple of the strategies that you can use, and it largely depends on the market conditions, right? So in this type of market, specifically in the Lehigh Valley, since it's such a difficult home buyer's market, I'd recommend right now that you be the home buyer first, right? So what does that mean? You're going to look before you put your home on the market. You're going to look for your next home, right? And you're going to keep shopping for your next home, and live in your current home until you find where you want to move, and then you put an offer in on that house, right? So you may question, well, how am I going to do this if I need the money from the sale to be able to buy a house, put a down payment down? And there's a couple ways that you can do this, and I'll go over a few of them right now. And the first is a HELOC, so a home equity line of credit, is one way that you can accomplish this, by using the equity in your home. And basically, what this means is, you're getting, think of it as a credit card, but you're using your home in this instance. It's a second loan, but it's kind of a line of credit, and you'll get charged interest on it, but again, you're not going to get charged any interest until you actually use that line of credit. So it's separate from like a cash out refinance, where you would be getting the money up front and you're kind of just holding on to it and getting charged interest until it goes back in, until you pay it off. This is different, where you're not getting charged that interest until you actually use the money from that line of credit. Now the interest rates are typically variable, so that's one of the negatives with it. But this is a great way to do it because, again, you're not getting charged anything, and you don't need any money up front to do this. And once you find that house that you want to pursue, you have that available. But just know ahead of time that this typically takes longer. It's a longer process to get approved by a lender. So you're going to want to do this well in advance of you looking at homes, because if you find one right away and you don't have this set up, it's going to take longer and you might miss out. And again, this also needs to be done before you put your home on the market for sale, because if it's already on the market, the lender is not going to approve this. The next type of loan product that's available to help out with this is it's called a bridge loan. It's exactly like it sounds. Like it's a bridge loan. It's just bridging that gap. And there's plenty of lenders out there that'll give you a bridge loan. There's typically higher interest rates even than a HELOC. Or any other type of loan, really, but they're meant to be short term, right? So if you already have a plan in place for buying and selling, and maybe you're missing it by a couple weeks or maybe even a month, you take this bridge loan, and you pay off your existing mortgage, and then you put the down payment down, and then once you sell your home, you take the proceeds to pay off the bridge loan. And again, this is something that you're going to need to apply the proceeds from the home sale too. Otherwise, you're not going to pay off the loan, and you're going to have this huge interest rate that you're paying for, right? Typically much higher than any other sort of interest rate that you're going to be accustomed to with a mortgage. The other option that some people kind of stray away from it, but I think it's a really good option as well, and it's using 401k or other investment account loans. And I think this is a great way to do things because you're pulling your money out from your 401k or your Roth or whatever it may be, right? And it's a loan against yourself, basically. So you're going to make extra payments towards this to pay off the interest, but you're paying interest basically to yourself, not to a lender, right? So the money's going back to your account. Now, if you never put that money back, you're going to get hit with penalties and fees, right? So you definitely want to put that money back after your home sells. But it's a great way to bridge that gap because, again, you're essentially just borrowing from yourself. Another positive about this is when you pull out of your 401k or one of your retirement accounts, this isn't going to count against you in your debt to income ratio with the new mortgage. So with the other loans, lenders are going to see that you have either a line of credit out or a bridge loan or whatever it may be. Now, if you explain the situation to them, it might be a little different, but either way, your debt to income ratio may be affected, and it may affect the purchase of your new property. Whereas when you use your retirement account, it doesn't. So it's really a nice option. The last option I want to go over for when you're buying first is a low down payment mortgage. Now this is if you get approved for it and you get a conventional low down payment mortgage, let's just say 5%. You basically pay the 5%. Then when your home sells, you can take the proceeds and you make one lump sum payment, and you get the loan recast, right? So it usually costs less than refinancing, but it will cost you some money to have it recast. And this is something that you're going to want to let your lender know ahead of time before you get the mortgage at all, that this is your plan, because you want to make sure, one, that they'll do it, and two, any of the steps that you need to do or any of the paperwork you need to fill out ahead of time to make sure that gets done. So definitely stay in communication with your lender and your realtors to know kind of what your plan is. That's another option of doing that. So we went through buying first. Now let's talk about selling your home first. Let's just say you want to sell your home first and you can't find a home in the time before your house closes. Well, it's pretty straightforward. You're selling your house as normal. It gets sold, it closes on, and in the meantime, you're going to need to find some sort of temporary housing. Either you're going to be a short-term renter on a month-to-month lease, or 6-month lease, or whatever it may be. Or you're going to be living with a family member, or whatever your situation is. That's what you'll need to do in that case. And if it's a really hot buyer's market, this might work for you, but in the type of environment we're in right now, I wouldn't recommend it. Now the third option is buying and selling at the same time. And this can absolutely be done. Um, and it happens all the time. And all you need is really some time management, a good agent that knows what they're doing, and having everything lined up properly. And here's basically how it's done. So you get your house ready to sell, you're pre-approved, you're ready to buy, and you're shopping for a new home, and you find one, right? And then you put it under contract. So once you're under contract, you get your inspections done, and all the negotiations are completed, but not beforehand. Right? Make sure you get your inspections done and all the negotiations are complete, right? And then you put your house on the market, right? Right. You don't do it beforehand. You wait until those things are done, then you put your house on the market, and you make sure that the closing date coincides with your purchase date of the new home. Now, again, in this type of market, if you have a good home and a good location, it's ready to go. Your house is probably going to sell really fast. You're not going to have any issues. So when you have your closing date set for the same day as your closing date of the buy, you basically close on your old home in the morning. You take the proceeds, it gets transferred. It usually just gets transferred directly to the new lender. And usually the title companies help out a lot with this. And then you close on your new property in the afternoon. So you have all your stuff ready to move, and you close on the house, and then you move in the afternoon or evening. And that's basically how it's done. Now you might miss this by a day or two, or maybe even a week or so. And then there's scenarios where, if this happens, you could have a lease back option with the owner of your previous home who just closed on it. And these are typically short-term solutions. You usually try to avoid this just because there's liabilities with this as well, but it does happen. It's usually a short-term solution. One thing about buying and selling at the same time is, when you're trying to close on that date, if a buyer is aware of this, right, they may use this as leverage against you as the home seller. So you may have to settle at some point. If you're dead set on doing this, you might have to settle at some point for maybe a slightly lower price for your home if you want to make sure that everything works out properly. But again, as long as everything's lined up and ready to go, you shouldn't have too many issues with this. But again, it's just making sure you're working with the right people and they're all communicating and making sure everything's lined up. But those are the some of the strategies that you could use if you're looking to buy a home and sell a home at the same time. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the chat below, and I'll see you guys on the next video.